Hey everyone, welcome back. Michael Sandler here, your host on Inspire Nation. Do you struggle with money to make enough, keep the bills at bay, or finally have the prosperity you deserve and worked hard for your entire life? Well, if this sounds like you, then no matter your job, income, education level, history, or life circumstances, then do we have the show for you. Today we'll be talking with transformational specialist and best-selling author Emmanuel Dagher, author of the brand new book, Breezy Prosperity. But Easy Breezy Prosperity isn't just about making money. It's a healthier, more connected, more balanced way to live. So today we'll talk about bridging the gap between spirituality and abundance and bringing more prosperity and wealth into your life the Easy Breezy way. We'll look at your relationship with money, how to heal it, how to circulate it, and bring more back to you. That plus we'll look at the importance of kindness, smiling, playing like a kid again, and the gratitude dance. But before we begin, I need to give a big shout out to the Chatham City Police in New Jersey today. For before the interview, I had a double flat tire, my main tire and my spare on my bicycle. They were kind enough to give me a ride back in time to do this interview. So thank you so much to Sean and everyone with the Chatham City, New Jersey Police. With that said, welcome to the show, Emmanuel. Are you ready to shine?
Yes. Thank you for having me here, brother. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, and a mighty woohoo! So before we dive right into things, I want to go back to the beginning if we can, because most people think it's luck or great life circumstances or being born in the right place at the right time or the right parents for you to have prosperity. But I found your story points to a different case. It is absolutely incredible, is an understatement, at how much you've overcome, not just in life circumstances, but the history and the wiring involved. So I'm wondering if you can take us back all the way back to age 3 at what you were going through.
First of all, thank you for that question. And, we all go through something. The listeners, we've all been through something that has been challenging, and there's an opportunity for us to rise up and overcome that. For me, I happened to be born in Lebanon during the civil war of the 80s and 90s, early 90s. And, obviously the things that I saw and experienced were just nobody should experience them. We didn't have running water. We didn't have hot water. Food for days, electricity, and the list goes on. But the biggest thing that I was not experiencing at that time was the feeling of safety and the feeling of comfort. I think those are really important parts of experiencing greater prosperity, because when you're in peace, when you're relaxed, when you're in a state of grace, you open yourself up to the flow of prosperity. So, I knew, even though at 3 years old, I knew that even though what was going on was very challenging, there was still something in me. I don't know what it was, maybe an eternal optimist, maybe being a kid, but I knew that it was going to get better, and I'm so grateful to say that it has.
So if we go back, because your wiring, it's like it's a baseline. We need security to have prosperity. And what kind of security did you have then?
Well, the one thing that I did have was the love of my mother. We lived in a convent together. I was the only boy living in a convent of all nuns, but I will tell you that was a saving grace, because, in the backdrop, there, you have storms and you have bombs and you have all these things going on, the turbulence, but I was in a safe cocoon. And for some reason, it felt like there was almost an energetic blessing around this convent. And of course, looking back, there is no coincidence. And I'm just so grateful that I went through everything that I did, even the challenges, and even that the only thing we had was the love of each other, my mom and I, and that was enough. And even when we think we don't have anything, there's still something to be grateful for. So that's sort of what kept me going.
What I'm hearing here, and what I'm feeling for the audience, is that not just if you've gone through some serious stuff, but maybe because you've gone through some serious stuff, you have a wisdom about you that is beautiful, and it belies your years. And I think that comes from the challenges you've been through. And so people who are listening to the show who go, I don't have this, I don't have that, I haven't had a loving parenting situation or the childhood or everything, that it can almost be flipped on its head and be the life circumstances that help catapult us forward.
Absolutely. For example, once you look at everything in your life as feedback, so if you were someone who did not have a parent who necessarily was very nurturing,
Hmm.
that was feedback for us to become more nurturing, right? To be more
Yes.
loving. So, for example, in my case, I saw my parents struggle. We didn't have money. So that was the drive for me to prosper and to create a different way, a different mindset with my relationship with prosperity in all areas of my life.
Perfect. So before we jump into prosperity, I want to back up one more time, which is read about your story in the book, fascinating story. And then I guess you were in the convent for 7 years. And then I'd like to hear, if you don't mind, sharing about how you got to Cyprus and out. And for the listeners out there, I finished the book. Jessica and I finished the book, put the book down. We're discussing it, went to sleep. The next morning I got up and you had mentioned there's a story about Cyprus you may share here, but that you'll put in a future book. And the first email when I turned on my computer in the morning was from a listener in Cyprus. And I have not, we're 151 countries. It's not necessarily out of the realm of possible, but I have yet to get a letter in my life from Cyprus until after I basically read Cyprus and you put down the book and go to sleep.
Yes, yes, it's amazing. No coincidences, right? So a little bit about that. So it was during a brief sort of time where there was no activity going on in Lebanon as far
Hmm.
as the war, and through a series of miraculous events, my mom was able to align with someone who knew the mayor of Beirut. And if we there was like timing incidences and all these things that had to just work perfectly in order for us to align with him,
Hmm.
and we literally escaped. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Not Without My Daughter by with Sally Field. If it's like it was like a made for TV movie, I think. But anyway, so we literally, the reason why I bring that up is because it was
Hmm.
very similar to what was going on with us. Is we I was about 10 years old at this point, and we had to put me underneath in the back seat, and underneath the blanket, and there was checkpoints after checkpoint after checkpoint in order to get to the cargo
Hmm.
of a ship that wasn't for people, it was for products. And we literally, I mean, if we got caught, my mom would have gone to jail for the rest of her life. And especially as a woman, it would have just been horrible because over there, it's just still a lot of imbalances with equality. But so anyway, we were able to miraculously, make it through. I was hiding underneath my mom's legs, and it was just crazy. And then we ended up going on to that cargo and went to Cyprus. And that was the next thing we did. We went to the US Embassy. And then from there, we had my mom's sister help us get to the United States.
Woo!
There was a lot more to it, but I was trying to do the fast version.
So, were you seeing at 10 years old, were you seeing the doors open, so to speak, meaning you made it through this checkpoint, you made it through the next checkpoint? Were you seeing this as something's going on here? This is a miracle each step of the way?
Well, one thing I remember, again, going back to when I was 3, and then, of course, just when you have to sort of escape the reality that was happening and start
Hmm.
imagining and creating your own, I started playing with the idea that I'm going to talk to the universe. I'm going to talk to God, source,
Oh,
creator,
cool.
whatever you call it, and I'm going to make a pact. Universe, if you save my mom, and if me too, that would be great. If not, that's fine. But if you would save my mom, then I would spend the rest of my life being of service. I would do something to make a difference. I don't know what it was. I thought it was music at the time. But yeah, I was just sort of open. And I remember when we did sort of have that opening and escape, I remembered that. at 10 years old, remembering when I was 3, what I was saying, what I was doing. And then that's when I committed, okay, you know what? Things are going to get better. It's only going to get better. Things are going to open up. And that's when I just decided to commit to service.
What is that meant for you? Particularly, what did that mean growing up for you that you had this, you basically made a pact, a contract?
It's a reference point.
Hmm.
It's a deep connection to spirit, but it's also, the miracle. As hard as life was, the only thing I was eating for many years was rice, white rice, and yogurt. That's it. And
Hmm.
that was like every other day or something. So going from that to not having electricity, to not having a peace of mind, to actually getting to a point where you are now, there's hope. There's something that could be, a new life. It's interesting. We went from Lebanon to Cyprus to Indiana, which is so interesting in the
Hmm.
Midwest. So it's all cornfields and quiet, no noise,
Crickets.
open plains. It was, I think it healed me because I had PTSD,
Hmm.
and it truly healed me. I used to spend time in nature for hours. I used to play. I used to, just be in that energy. And for me, that was such a powerful testament to the knowing that miracles are possible, and that became my reference point.
So I'm thinking of your childhood. I'm thinking of you growing up in these conditions, and it strikes me that when you got to the States, you may not have had money yet, but you were actually extremely prosperous.
Yes. And everything was provided for. We lived with my aunt for a year. I'm so grateful for that. That was the first year I experienced Christmas.
Oh man.
I had heard about it, but I was like, what is this? I saw pictures and stuff, but I never really experienced Christmas until then. So, I had been put into elementary school, and just sort of seeing all the kids singing and dancing and playing, and I was like,
Hmm.
what is this? This is awesome. So it was so abundant for me, and I remember just appreciating, and I think I remember my teacher just really, I think she told my mom, she was like, he's just the most grateful little guy ever because he's sitting in the corner watching everything, just absorbing it. And we have to say, come play with us, be part of this. And all he wants to do is just smile and look at everybody. It was my first time. So it was really interesting. So, yes, it was very prosperous.
You have a quote early in the book. It says, a huge part of claiming our abundance is realizing the miracle of the present moment in ways children do naturally.
Mm. So, one thing that I know for sure is that we are all spiritual universal beings. I
Hmm.
mean, we could call it what it is. Some people will say no, some people will say yes. But for me, I know that enough miracles have happened in my life, and enough, I've also had near death experiences as well. So I know that there's so much greater than this reality. So for me, when I when I said that statement, it was all about seeing through the eyes of the universe. This
Hmm.
is what children do. When you see a child at 3 months old or 6 months old, not able to talk, but they communicate with their eyes and they see colors and shapes and sounds and vibrate. I mean, it's amazing. So, what if we as adults could start to incorporate some of those magical awareness, that wonder that, oh my gosh, I'm choosing to see through the eyes of the universe today. And there's actually a process that I use where I'll put sunglasses on or just a pair of glasses on,
Hmm.
like yours, and just say, when I put these on, just set the intention. When I put these on, I'm going to see through the eyes of the universe today. I'm going to see miracles today. I know Albert Einstein has a quote. He says, and this is just paraphrasing, but he said something like, "There are two ways to see life. One is
Hmm.
though nothing is a miracle, and the other as though everything is a miracle." So that's sort of the thing that I go with.
You've got me thinking too. I never thought about this before, but I was talking yesterday with Bob Proctor from The Secret, and we were talking about prosperity as well. And he was talking about is really it's about raising your vibration. And I think when you take and you put on, I've got off my glasses now, bright yellow rimmed ones here, because you got to be bright and have fun.
Yes.
And so when I put these on, if I'm now looking through the eyes of the universe, boom, boy, is that a heck of a frequency that I'm suddenly vibrating from. And just flipping that switch, all of a sudden you can feel that.
And the other thing is just really taking time to look at what's around you. Look at the textures, look at the colors, the shapes. I mean, it really makes a difference as to how miraculous the fact that you and I are using this technology right now, different spaces, and I get to see such a wonderful, beautiful spirit is miraculous. It's just a perception switch.
And it is so cool. Whether you're in a cubicle, you're on a train, whatever you are, you can look around literally within a foot or two of you and see stuff that didn't exist a few years. That is an absolute miracle. They pulled something out of the ground. They melded it. They molded it. They waved chicken bones on it. And now you're traveling at 60, 80, 100 miles an hour, or you're in an airplane at 600 miles an hour. It's pretty cool.
It is, and it's just very humbling when you think about it as how far we are progressing. You know, a lot of people will say, well, you know, things aren't different. There's still wars going on and stuff. Yes, that is, but there are so many amazing people that think outside of the box now, way more than before. And I truly feel like we are at a tipping point where things are shifting drastically in the world.
I completely agree. So how would you define then abundance?
Okay, so there's a few little aspects of that. So the first thing is that to me, true abundance is remembering who we really are. Because a lot of us go day to day thinking we are these small little beings, just having a job, having a title, parent, whatever. But the truth is we are far greater than that. We are these vast, infinite, unlimited, universal beings. We are literally the micro of the macro. Everything that is in the universe is within you. I mean, it's been proven that the things in our skin, I mean, the molecules, the energy, the minerals are also in the stars. So we are just the culmination of that. So abundance, true abundance is the awareness that you are the universe. You are one with the universe. And now you are empowered to operate from that space every single day of your life. And, you know, the mind will come in and it'll say, no, that's too big. No, that's scary. No, that doesn't make sense. But that's just your mind trying to protect you. It's just trying to keep you safe. And honor it. Let it know that you are grateful for the fact that it tried to keep you safe through ideas of lack, fear, limitation, hesitation. Those are just protection mechanisms. So when you understand that you are not the pattern, you are the energy, the spirit, those are just patterns and experience that can be shifted, then you no longer identify with them anymore. So that's what abundance is.
Beautiful. So let's go from there into the first one that you mentioned, lack, because I can hear people saying, okay, I've heard that I'm part of source, I'm part of universe, it's me, I'm it, it's all one. That's great. The bills are coming in. I've been trying to do this law of attraction stuff and I haven't been able to shift anything.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, the law of attraction is great. I think it's a great starter and it's a good beginning. However, to me, it's very limiting because the idea that I have to be so specific and I have to manifest and visualize and all those things, that actually is very counterproductive for people who tend to be hard on themselves. It could be very good for people who it's very easy and they're very feeling based and they don't analyze very much. But for those who are very analytical, it's like a trap. It becomes a prison. So what we want to do is
just for clarification for people who are what that means, as I understand that means that you could actually use something that could be good for you and then blame yourself for it not working.
Yes, exactly. And you're so focused on the specifics that you miss out on all these other opportunities and ideas that it could come from something else, right? So we want to make sure that we are open. And the way to do that is one thing that I talk about in the book is focusing on the qualities that you would like to create instead of the specifics. So when you say, so let's say you're in a space of lack and you want to create money and you say, I want to make $100,000 or $200,000 a year. Great. That's wonderful. But what does that do for you on a deep level? It makes me feel more peace. It makes me have more stability. It makes me have freedom. It brings me joy. Okay. So go a little deeper. Do I have any of these things in my life already? Am I happy every now and then? Am I free? Do I have a sense of freedom a little bit? So when you start to recognize that it's probably on some level already showing up in your life in some way, then you release the attachments. Then you are no longer identifying with it has to be $1 million or it has to be this and that. You're now open to that $1 million or something greater. So that's one thing for sure.
You've also, I don't know a better word, so forgive me. I'm going to use this word and I mean it in the kindest way. You're tricking people into vibrating at that high frequency anyway because they realize they were there all along.
Yes. And I say it's just remembering. Just remembering who you really are at your core. And the truth is, when you're in lack, that is your mind's way of protecting you because, see, the mind likes to stay small. The mind's like a 3-year-old child, and a lot of spiritual teachings say, oh, we need to get rid of the ego, we need to get rid of the mind. And, I honor that. But to me, when you do that, when you resist something, it's going to resist you back.
Absolutely.
So when we can embrace the ego and love it and accept it and understand that that is just survival pattern, then it won't fight us anymore. Then it will ease into our energetic arms, fall into our embrace, and then work with us instead of against us. So that's one thing specifically that has helped me. If you're feeling lack, go find an opportunity to be of service, because when you're of service, when you're being grateful, and in lack, they can't happen at the same time. They just can't. Because even going back to my story, when we didn't have anything, and I can tell you we had nothing, we still had the love between my mom and I, and the support in that way. And that was enough to get us to where I'm at today, where I'm here speaking in front of you, and I'm so grateful.
And along those lines, if you're struggling and you help somebody else in any way, it doesn't mean you have to give them money. Whatever it is,
Yes.
if you help can literally be helping them to smile.
Yes.
It can be as simple as that. But guess who's the bigger smile? You're going to get the bigger smile by helping them to smile.
One thing that that reminds me of is generosity. It's very interesting. I've studied some of my inspirations. I really love Richard Branson. I love Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres. They have this energy and spirit of generosity, and they have realized the secret that generosity, yes, it's great for them, but it's even better for you. Because not only are you receiving the joy and excitement that the person's receiving and you're giving to them, but the universe, look at what it's done for them. And imagine what that can happen for you. And I did a little experiment on social media a few years ago. I started talking about generosity and the power of it, and how, when you're generous, you're going to open yourself up to more prosperity. And I talked about tips and things like that. It was like crickets. Nobody was... people are so afraid to be generous because they think they're going to lose something, they're going to give something up. That's just the mind. But what if we start talking and shifting that, which is what we did. And now my prosperity, which is amazing, it's a confirmation that prosperity is opening. The posts about generosity are now the top posts that I share. So it's just really interesting to see how that's come full circle, because I was really stubborn in the way that I wanted to make sure that people understood the power of generosity, of service and giving, and it had nothing to do with money.
It's fascinating because we look at it. It's very, you have to be very, not have to, you don't have to be anything.
Right.
But we are careful about how we choose our titles of a particular show. Of a particular interview. And we found that when the show is about the self, we get more hits on the show, versus if it is help others to help yourself, that doesn't seem to go very well.
No. And, it's not, there's no one to blame. This is more of just a conditioning that has happened through society. As children, we're taught it's very self-involved, me, 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 me. And can you imagine what would happen if, as a kindergartner or a child, before even going to school, you're starting to be taught how to be of service, how to volunteer, how to help those who may have seeming less than you, how to be grateful, how to know what gratitude is and connect. I mean, imagine what will happen in the world. I do have a vision, and I'm working with some amazing organizations with that, but it's just we haven't been taught that, and especially we see in the media, now it's all about selfies and everything. It's just literally the manifestation of the me, so how can we make it about the we rather than just the me?
Woohoo! I love
That's
it.
abundance.
I,
That's
I,
abundance.
I support you on that. Yeah, we're putting up our hands there. Woo woo. So, all right, let's go back to some more on abundance on the spiritual side of things, which is so many of this. I have struggled with this in the past. This took a long time to get over, which is the wiring inside of us that is the hard work, not made of money, and spiritual and money don't go hand in hand.
hmm
Boom.
I gotta tell you, so that was the game changer. There's a chapter you probably read in the book called The Game Changer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's understanding what money really is so that we can actually heal our relationship with it. And the story that I shared in the book was about when I first moved to the States. I wanted to be involved in a lot of different organizations, and I was part of the science fair group, and I did a science fair project that had two plants. One of them was listening to classical music, had adequate amount of sunlight and water, and the other one was listening to heavy metal, a little bit more aggressive, and still the same amount of water and sunlight. And so I did for 6 weeks. The hypothesis was, does music or music affects plants? And so going back and thinking about it now as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
what happened in that experiment was the plant that listened to the classical music thrived. It was growing. It was just so abundant. The leaves were growing in and everything. And the other one was actually shriveling up and withering away. So back then, the idea was, yes, music affects that. And, we talked about what that means. But now, when I think about it, I think about the fact that that plant is a living, breathing thing. Even though it doesn't have a personality, even though it doesn't talk and dance in front of you, it is living, and it was telling me clearly, I don't want to listen to this music, I want to listen to this music. That's the feedback that it was telling me. So I meditate and I pray a lot. And this was several years ago. I was sort of in a state of, oh my gosh, universe, I really want to help people, but I'm not making any money. I have this idea that I can't really be spiritual and have money, that it's evil, that it causes wars, all these things, because that's what I had seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, universe, there has to be another way. There has to be another way. Show me. And I didn't get anything for a few weeks, but then I started thinking about that science fair project. I was like, why am I thinking about this right now during my meditation? And I asked, and one of the days that I was meditating, I got the inner guidance that said, because everything is alive. Everything is alive. Money is alive. It's a living, breathing energy. It's not this lifeless object. So if
Let me have you say that one more time, because that's one of the coolest things that I read in your book. Period.
Thank you. Thank you. So money is a living, breathing energy. It's alive. See, everything in the universe, if it's in our experience, it's alive. There's nothing that is not alive. So when we can understand that, then we can start to honor and respect all of life, even that which is showing up as money. Because money, it started off, I'm going to give my sheep for your cow. And then it became, I'm going to give my gold to your product. And then it became cash. And now we're even moving out of that. So it's evolving. Its purpose, money's purpose, is simply to be the embodiment of giving and receiving. And what are we giving and receiving? Energy, love. That's it. So if this energy is alive, don't you think it's going to literally run the other direction? Imagine your best friend. Don't you think your best friend would be running the other direction if you were abusing it, causing, there was wars fought for? I mean, they would literally leave,
Every
right?
single one of us, well, not every single one of us, but the majority of us abuse our money on a daily basis. We hide our money. We stash it away. We don't talk with it. We don't make friends with it. And we kind of hoard it and hide with it. And we are certainly not treating it like the friend we want to take out with us.
And imagine if you were doing all of that to your friend. Like literally they'd be in the basement in jail, basically, stuck. So that's what we were doing. We were holding it hostage. But what if we can now forgive ourselves for the
Hmm.
relationship we had with money because we didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. We thought that it was like here to serve us in that way. But now, what if we can start to make peace with it and actually have an inner dialogue with it and place it over our heart, whatever represents money to you, and just say, how can I support you? How can I heal you? I'm so sorry on behalf of humanity, the way that we treated you. Oh my gosh, like of course you don't want to be in my life because I wasn't appreciating you. So have that dialogue, try it out for 28 days and watch how the universe is going to start bringing more prosperity. Because see, now you're going to become like a magnet, a vortex of healing for this energy that you once mistreated. Now you're going to be loving and
You have
embracing.
is it a 5-part and a 2-part healing, a way to do healing with money?
Yes, and that's actually sort of, I did a quick version now, but there is a process in the book that talks about just literally when you feel like you have to pay a bill and it's like, oh, it's like in your stomach and you're not feeling comfortable with that, or you are, you're asked to somehow do something that's a little bit overstretching financially. I invite you to do these processes. You just, take the something that represents money to you, you place it over your
Yeah,
heart.
after we read the book, I got a credit card and put it up to my chest here.
How did you feel afterwards?
Oh man, it felt like I wanted to do that all the time. So as we're attracting a lot of abundance in our lives, I'm going, why didn't I think to do this? It completely, and there's this idea which now has come to us several different directions within a couple of days. We get clusters on the show. It's a guest a day, and it is carrying money around with you,
Hmm.
and carrying more money around with you to get more comfortable with money.
I want to share something with you. So, I'm very active on social media and I got feedback by one person. Everyone's like, yes, I'm loving the book, whatever. One person didn't even get the book, but what they immediately said was, oh, hogwash, this kind of book, we've seen it so much. It's very businessy. We're always promised this. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I feel so much compassion for that
Hmm.
person because they have blocked themselves. They have completely blocked themselves because if they had read the book or at least were open to this kind of dialogue, imagine what miracles could happen in their life. A lot of people have never really heard this kind of mindset. So I just want to ask, those who are listening that are watching, just I know if you're happy with your finances right now, great. It's working for you. But if you're feeling like you're stuck and things are not working for you, I invite you to consider some of these thoughts and see if they work. If they don't work for you after a month, let them go.
I think it's also though it's moving beyond. We're talking about money, but moving beyond money. Sort of like we're
Yes.
saying money is going to polymers and this and that, and but really it's about a vibration. It's about a frequency, and when you get to that frequency, so it's sort of like the very kind officers who then gave me a ride back earlier today. Magic stuff happens, and there's no limit to how high we can get that frequency.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I'm just loving what you're doing with this show. And you told me how you knew after your experiences that you had that you wanted to do something greater. And look how it's showing up for you. It's literally like exploding. So that's a testament.
Well, you have in your book a story of Tony. Maybe this is a good place to share about Tony because he went to being of service.
Yes. So, they were always stuck and he was just always sort of focused on what's not working instead of what is. And I just said, well, try this, try being of service, see what happens. And oh my gosh, the miracles that unfolded were just, service is one of those things to me that there's nothing like it. And I almost invite people to get addicted to service because it's one of those things that once you see the benefit of what it's going to do, not only for others, but in your life and how, it may look like something that has nothing to do with the specific action that you're doing, but it's all connected. We talked about how you had that flat tire earlier, and our interview was supposed to be earlier So it's just a miraculous thing that it all lined up now, because I feel like maybe it would not have been as impactful if we didn't do it now, you know?
Absolutely. I wouldn't have even had that event to talk about. So so let's shift gears from there, and I want to go a little bit into some of the tough stuff, which is it's a twofold question. So fear and debt, because we're talking about a different way to relate to money. But then when I'm in debt and I have to try to figure out a way through, it's very constricting, it's very tightening, and it's real hard to keep the energy levels up.
Well, the first thing that I would invite, someone who's going through debt is to ask themselves what kind of debt it is, because there's some different aspects. The first aspect is the kind of debt that, when you had when you were growing up and your parents were very penny pinching, you can't have this, you can't do this, whatever. So what happens is there's either people become like that or the opposite. They're like, no, I'm going to spend money. I'm going to make sure my kids have everything they want. Even if it's, if I don't physically have the money, I'm going to make sure they get what they want.
Yeah.
So it's like an extreme that happens that balances. It's like trying to balance what happened earlier on in their childhood. So I would first and foremost ask yourself, am I one of those people? Did I have a hard time as a child where I couldn't really have what I wanted? So now I'm going to the other extreme. And if that is true for you, think about the fact that you don't need to be hard on yourself. What if you needed to do this so that you can actually balance it? And now that you
Thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
right?
This is forgiveness for the self.
Absolutely. And now as you forgive, and then you can say, okay, now I can bring myself back into alignment. How can I not feel like I need to retaliate or go against authority? Because that's what our parents were. And sort of like trying to be so against, because what we fight, it kind of resists back. But what if we can now let that go and just find freedom in being creative, open, free-spirited, and organized, and making doing money management or being a good manager, managing our lives. So what if we can find freedom in both? And that is going to create the balance back into creating greater wholeness rather than the debt, because debt is usually an imbalance in the circulation. And the first thing that I usually go to when I'm working with a client is go back to childhood. Did that happen?
Feeling called both to talk about radical generosity and to talk about, maybe dovetailing on what you just said, is one of the pieces is to get our lives in order, and things like decluttering and getting organized, and the importance of that, to clearing that space to allow the abundance to come in.
Absolutely. Well, think about it. If everything is energy and you have literally, all these things in your house that are cluttered and all over the place, you don't have room to create and bring beautiful new experiences that are going to be expansive and healing and prosperous for you. They're placeholders. Those things in your house are actually distractions, and they're placeholders that are blocking you from receiving. So one thing that I actually do is, if I haven't used something, unless it's super sentimental like pictures or something like that, but if I haven't used something for a year, I give it away. I just ask, if I can volunteer, at a shelter and just, take some stuff there, or if I'm going to give it to Goodwill or whatever. But I always find an opportunity to release. And the lighter you pack, the more prosperous and abundant you become.
That makes sense. So let's go from there. This dovetails perfectly with the last thing, which is not meaning the end of this, but meaning what we were talking earlier. You have something called a radical generosity program.
Okay, so there's a lot of different aspects of radical generosity, but one of my favorite things that I like to do is, when the mind is trying to convince you that lack is real and it's happening, what I do is I'll do the opposite. I'll say, okay, so this is an opportunity for me to show my mind that I'm not lacking in anything in any way. So for me, one of the processes that I put, and this could be like a gulp moment for those who are listening, and it doesn't have to be, $20 bills or whatever. It could be like $1 or whatever. But what I do is I'll put some money in different envelopes, and I just go around town and I place them on windshield wipers, or I'll put them at the library in between books and stuff.
Woohoo!
And, a little note as well to say, may this prosperity, abundance prosper you, and may you pay it forward and do something wonderful for someone else. So that keeps that domino effect. And who knows if they do it or not. But I will have to tell you one fun story is I remember I did that once, and it was a completely different location from where I was that day. I was at a grocery store,
Mhm.
and a person in front of me was just telling the cashier, "Oh my God, I found this envelope and there was money in it, and it said, you're so prosperous. The universe loves you." And they were word for word saying what I wrote, and it was, by the way, completely different part of the town. And the lady was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. I want to do that." And then the person also bought her a chocolate and said, "That's my part of giving back." So it was just so surreal to witness that
Wow.
abundance, that prosperity in action. It was awesome.
So let's talk more about investing in yourself.
Yes. Investing in yourself. A lot of us think, oh, we need to hire a boss to invest in us and give us this job or whatever. And, that might be exactly aligned with you. And, that's amazing. But what if you can invest in yourself? What if you take a little bit of your financial earnings, but also your time and
Mhm.
your energy, and start aligning with the things that make your heart sing? Aligning with the things that, a lot of people don't know what makes them happy. A lot of them, they'll think, oh, it's maybe, it could be my kids, it could be. But if you want to know what really makes you happy, go
Mhm.
back from the age of, like, let's say 2 years old to like 15, and think about what some of the things were that you were really excited about, passionate about. It could be music, it could be science, it could be, and think about it, contemplate, and see how you can start to bring those back into your life now. Because when you're creating that joy, when you're in that stream,
Mhm.
you're going to open yourself up to so much more prosperity, but also you're going to live on purpose. That's the key here. Your key, your only purpose in life is to be happy. That's it. Everything else is just a result of that.
Fantastic. So going from there, let's talk about, in fact, we haven't really gone through, you have 5 different pillars in this book. Everybody, I highly recommend this book. It is beautiful, and it helps you become a better you. It's not just that it's going to put more green stuff in the wallet. In fact, it's going to be about the vibration first. But pillar number 5, and these beautiful 5 pillars, is to me maybe the most powerful of the bunch, which is practicing gratitude and kindness.
Well, I want to say something right before that, is that the way that we experience prosperity is a direct result of how much we are loving ourselves. It's the way that we are treating ourselves. That's literally the direct result. So if we stop making it about how much I need to get, da, 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 all that stuff, and bring it back to you, you've
Mm-hmm.
instantly empowered yourself. You're no longer the victim. You are now the creator of your life. So,
I want you to say that a second time, because
yes.
that is, again, that is so powerful, because it means it liberates you, it frees you from chasing the dollars, and actually helps bring more dollars in.
Yes. So the way that we experience prosperity is a direct result of how we are treating ourselves, how much love, how much care, how much affection we are giving to ourselves.
This
We've been
also means that working 90 hours a week to try to bring the money in is going to
is
do.
no, 90 hours a week is going to do damage because you're not taking care of yourself. You're not loving yourself. You're not honoring yourself. That's actually because when you're working 90 hours a week, unless it's something that you absolutely love, but even then you want to balance, you want to take time to break and nurture yourself. But loving yourself, going back to playing, remembering the things as a child that you really used to love to do, those are just as important as putting the hours in to work. I mean, it's all part of this thing, and also spiritual practice. All of it is just very creates a very powerful synergetic opening and a vortex for you to create greater prosperity. So gratitude and kindness, not only to others but to yourself. That's the secret here.
Oxygen mask on yourself first.
There you go.
So, what is the gratitude dance?
Do you want me to show you? I'm just kidding. So,
For our YouTubers out there, if you want, you go.
so the gratitude dance is just a very simple, one of the things that I feel is very important to move stagnant energy
Hmm.
and just to kind of let things, if you're stressed or whatnot, a lot of times we hold it in our body. So we want to make sure that we are fluid and flexible. So what I like to do is I combine the movement with the gratitude, because gratitude, we've heard it over and over again, even in The Secret, that when we express gratitude, we literally become a magnet to miracles, a magnet to blessings, because we are no longer operating in lack. We are now operating in abundance. Because even when we think we don't have anything to be grateful for and we're expressing gratitude, we are immediately moving out of the victim consciousness. So what happens is the gratitude dance, you just combine it, you play some of your favorite music, and every now and then throughout the day, you just take a little break, turn on the music, start shaking it, and I'm grateful for this. And I always add the why. So I'm grateful for this beautiful day because it's just blessing me in with oxygen, with the gift of having a roof over my head, with the gift of sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. I am so grateful. I'm grateful for my bed because it keeps me safe and comfortable at night. And just really going into that, but also moving will add that extra energy to bring in more of that prosperity and align you with more of that joy.
Doing a little jig here.
Very simple.
So moving from there, before we begin to wrap things up, occasionally my wife and I, Jessica and I, take on a 28-day challenge from an author. Recently, it was from Anthony William, medical medium, and oh my
Yes.
God, has that been helping our health? It's been huge. So now we've started on your 28-day prosperity plan, and so yesterday we kind of half jumped into it, realized we did really need to take your advice and get up a little bit earlier to fit it all in. So we did it this morning, and I'm wondering maybe you could share briefly about that, and specifically the difference between a mantra and a
Yes. Affirmation.
yes.
Okay, so yes, that's really one of my favorite things. And I've been doing mantras for many years now. But the really cool thing about mantras is that the mantras from the Far East are very sacred, not only in the sounds and frequencies that they ask us to chant,
Hmm.
but in the fact that upon millions of people have come before you who have literally chanted and meditated and prayed with these same exact mantras.
You just made me think I'm jumping into the golden abundance stream, that there's this river of abundance tied to this prayer that's been said for thousands of years, and you're almost like getting on a chairlift, hooking on and getting pulled right into it.
You got it. And what happens is, a lot of times the mind likes to think, oh, it's just me and these affirmations aren't working. But what if you can start thinking about, even before you do the mantra, visualize all these people. Just, you don't even have to see their faces, but just see like millions of people in a crowd, all holding the space for you, that once you step into this vibration, you are now choosing to create that energy of that mantra. So we offer in the book, I've put mantras, how to create greater prosperity, karma cleansing mantras, clearing blocks. Like there's so many different things to open you up and create greater prosperity. And affirmation is wonderful. I love those too, but they don't have that extra charge around them immediately. Over time they could for you, but immediately we want to step into that prosperity energy, and that's what the mantras do in this book.
Beautiful. And we're going to go down the road on the 28-day prosperity plan. Do you need, for people out there, do we need to have an exact goal to get to? We've heard it both ways.
Yeah, so again, what I would say is going back, think about what qualities in your life that you would like to create more of instead of the specifics. So, if you do think about, okay, I need to have this much money in my bank account, you can start there. I want to have a romantic partner. Okay, so what do those bring you though? Do they bring you fulfillment? Do they bring you peace? Do they bring you balance? That's what we want to focus on, because that immediately opens you up and allows you to step into your universal self instead of what the mind thinks is the limiting self. And then from that space, when you have an idea, really at the core, what my purpose is, I just want to be happy. So if these things can line me up with creating more joy, and that joy can just be the beautiful pinnacle for me, you got it. It's going to open me up with ease and grace in that direction.
Beautiful. Well, as we begin to wrap things up here, we have a wrap-up question we like to ask all of our guests, which is, what brings you personally the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
And honest to God, what brings me the most joy is seeing other people prosper, heal, and thrive. I mean, the joy that I get when I see someone going from lack into, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, and then start applying it and seeing the results in their life, that is the most satisfying and most joyful thing that I've ever experienced. And the other thing is nature. I love nature.
Hiking, biking, what do you love to do?
I love sitting under a tree, reading a good book, and just
I love it. I love it. So I love your Facebook page. I do recommend everybody to check it out. I found it full with beautiful words of wisdom. Where can people go to find that and to find out more and to find your book?
Thank you so much. So they can go to Facebook /Emmanuel, 2 M's, Emmanuel Dagger, D as in David, Agher. 1, Emmanuel Dagger 1, and every post I create them myself, all the artwork, everything. I feel like it's an extension of who we are. We don't want to make social media separate. We don't want to make it businessy, especially in this line of work. We want to make it an extension of who we are. So that's why it's so important to me to do it myself. And you can find out about the book at easybreezyprosperity.com. There's a lot of amazing gifts and bonuses that I've created for those who purchase a copy of the book. And we actually have a giveaway, so check that out. And no purchase necessary as well for that. And the other thing is emmanueldagger.com. You can find out anything else about me that you want.
Fantastic. And if you're driving down the road or a place where you didn't write that down, don't worry about it. Go to inspirenationshow.com. We'll have a page on this. We'll have all the links to get you over to all your sites and to get you over to your Facebook page as well. So thank you. And thank you for the giveaway as well. I'm sure people will greatly enjoy that.
You're welcome. Thank you, brother, so much for what you do. You are so amazing. I felt like a connection with you, and I'm so grateful that everything's going really well with you and your wife.
Thank you. Any last words of wisdom for people?
The last words that are feeling that they want to come in is, you're doing a great job. No matter where you think you're at and you think you should be doing this, or, I have to be there and that on my path, just take a deep breath and know that you are doing a great job. And the fact that you're here now and the fact that you're even listening to this kind of dialogue is amazing. It's a confirmation that you are doing an amazing job. So thank you so much.
Woohoo! So we'll do a brief meditation afterwards. People can catch separately. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get easy, breezy prosperity, and shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you, brother, so much.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!